Thanks so much for having me at Social Fresh. I'm really excited. This is my very first Social Fresh ever, and it's exciting to see some real estate folks and multifamily folks in the crowd. But today I'm going to be talking about creating contests. And the thing about social media contests is that they really provide a great opportunity for you to really improve that customer engagement and that relationship dynamic. So today I really want to focus on providing you guys some best practices and 9 winning methods to the successful part about having successful social media contests. So today we're going to dive into that. But one of the questions that my C-suite always asks me, and a question that I always ask my team is, what's one of the biggest challenges we have today? And the same answer continuously pops up, year after year. And that answer for us is content. We have a tremendous issue with producing enough content in a timely manner that's useful, helpful, resourceful, and we always need unique, fresh content. How many of you guys in the audience have an issue with producing enough content? All right, so it sounds like some of us are in the same boat. And we all know, we've known for years that content is king. Content has been king and it's going to continue to be king, so we really need a solution for how we, as marketers and brands, can produce enough of it to meet the consumer demand. So we've been running social media contests for years, but we had to really reevaluate our approach to social media contests and how we were running them and our core purpose behind them. And so for us, we found out once we changed that mindset, contests is king for us now. So contest is king. So if we ask ourselves, why are contests so important and why should we care about contests? Our answer now to the C-suite is much different. We're getting better buy-in now. And for us, the answer to this question is because contests equals content. And what we're finding out is that we've completely rearranged our approach to this. And it's really an amazing thing that we're looking to the power of the people to help us crowdsource this content. So I encourage you guys today to reshape kind of the way you're thinking about running these contests. And I have to admit, we are by no means a sexy brand. We are an internet listing service site. We help people find a place to live. And the issue with us is that we don't give that instant gratification to the consumer right away, because it's not until they actually make their move and they find their place to live. So that could take 6 months to a year. So we have to work really, really hard on our brand loyalty. We're much different than like a Nike or Dunkin' Donuts. We have to work really hard to continue that relationship full circle and for them to want to use our services on their next move. And not to mention, moving sucks. It's really annoying. It's a pain. People hate it. So when we're actually in Twitter doing search and response, it's amazing to see some of the search queries that people are putting in here. #apartment hunting is the worst. Finding an apartment is the top 5 most stressful processes. When searching for an apartment in LA, know that having a dog is worse than having bad credit. #lesson learned. So, this is the stuff that we're dealing with, and our goal is to help relieve some of that stress for them. So we need enough content to do that and, again, build that loyalty. So why should anyone care about contests? Going back to that original question, and a lot of times people care about contests because contests are generally great for reaching top of the funnel. It's great for reaching that top of the audience. They're also really great for building that brand loyalty. And, that's where we have to work really hard at, so we enjoy contests for that as well. But today I'm here to talk about the transparency about why we really do contests, and it's because contests equals content for us. We're using the power of the crowd to crowdsource and curate all this content. Because we're a small brand, we have a really big name and a really killer web domain at homes.com, but believe it or not, we're small. We've got small budgets, smaller resources. So let's talk about how we got that content. In 2011, we ran a Facebook contest with our sister site ForRent.com, and we asked users to submit a photo for the coolest space in their place for a chance to win some cash. We saw 250 photos, 2,000 votes, some traffic to the app, and some fan increases of 600, which wasn't a ton of activity. The proposition wasn't that great considering we spent $3,000. So we grabbed some ideas and we really ran with them and we took it to the next level. So we started noticing that all the photos coming in were absolutely fantastic. The quality was just brilliant. They were really significant interior and exterior shots of the home, and we were pleasantly surprised because most photo contests, you don't really get that high-end quality. So when we came down to announcing the winners and the semifinalists, we started looking at all of the photos, and we realized that at the end, once we announced the winners and the semifinalists, it turns out that all of them were industry bloggers. And this is back in 2011, before we really had even established our blogger ambassador program or our network. We weren't really into that whole thing yet. So this was amazing for us. So we reached out to all of them and we said, hey, would you be willing to contribute a blog on your coolest space in the place? And they all agreed to. And one of the gentlemen that actually submitted his blog post had this beautiful farmhouse table. All of us at the office fell in love with it. And we thought he was going to submit an actual post that talked about the decor in the room. But turns out he submitted this killer tutorial post on how to build a DIY farmhouse table that was a Restoration Hardware knockoff. It was brilliant. It had specs. It had all the things for the tools, the labor, the costs associated, down to very specific, minute details. It was the most incredible blog post that I had seen at that time. And we noticed instantly overnight we had success. We looked at our Adobe Insights, and it was telling us that we had a huge referral spike in Pinterest. This is in 2011, a year after Pinterest had just come on the block, so we didn't even have a fleshed-out strategy yet. So this was really cool, and then we went inside of Pinterest, and we found out that the source was actually that farmhouse table. It just got pinned and pinned and pinned and repinned from our website and really spread throughout Pinterest ecosystem. So it was really a great win for us. And we received a ton of referral traffic from that. And we started to learn that this was a useful piece of content. People really wanted to see this, and they wanted more of it. So we looked deeper into those metrics, and we took a look at our blog traffic, and we noticed that it increased 4 times in 1 month, which was really significant, again, for a small brand. We saw an increase in page views, daily uniques. We had over 140 comments, which for us was a lot because we didn't actually have comments typically. We'd have like 0 to 1 maybe. And nearly 60% of that blog traffic actually came to that post a year later. So that traffic is still being generated off of that contest a year ago. So we call that the contest or the gift that keeps on giving. It continues to give back to us to this day, fast forwarding 3 years later. So we asked all of those bloggers to be a part of our Blogger Ambassador Network program, which was the first one we ever did a couple years later, and they all agreed to. And when Tommy, the guy that built the DIY farmhouse table, approached us, he said, hey guys, I'm leaving, I'm not going to be able to do DIY decor projects for you anymore. I'm moving into real estate. We said, hey Tommy, why don't you just actually blog about real estate advice, tips and advice to give to buying and sellers? This would be perfect. And he said, sure, so he jumped on board. So now it goes beyond the prize. Now we're actually building relationships with these people and getting to know them better. So fast forward 3 years later, we re-optimized this blog post. We gave it a fresh title. Back in 2011, we had like an exclamation point in the blog post. It was terrible, right? So fast forward to now having more knowledge under our belt, we optimized the photos, gave them some text overlay, went in and adjusted the body of the post, gave it some SEO, and again, overnight, we saw instant success with more Pinterest traffic, referral traffic back into the blog. So it continues to be that gift that keeps on giving. And then I took a look at the metrics just the other day. We had 50,000 non-paid visits to this post in 2014. Again, taking a look at a piece of content that's been on our blog for so much time and has little effort behind it. We're not doing paid promotion to this piece of content. So there's the power of, once you close your contest, you need to continue that momentum, and you're going to find some gems within there. So it was a win-win. And the biggest thing about contests is it has to be a win-win proposition. There needs to be that win-win for both sides, both the consumer as well as the brand. So now I want to dive into 9 winning methods to having a successful social media contest. And we don't have time to really dive into each of them, so there's a blog post that covers this timeline that you can find out more information on. But what I've done is I've compartmentalized this out into 3 parts: for before contest, during contest, and then after contest. So let's start with before contest. This is where a majority of your upfront preparation is going to come into play. You need to spend more of your time here. The first thing you need to do is set goals. So by goals, I mean, are you trying to increase content? Are you trying to increase downloads to your ebook? Getting more contact information through your email? Are you trying to get more photos, videos, etc.? You really need to evaluate what are those pieces of content and things that you need up front so that everyone on the team is on the same page and that you have a purpose behind running the contest. The second thing you need to do in here is make sure that you identify who your target personas are. Are you going large or are you going very niche? That's going to really determine how you market and when you market. The second thing is defining the actual contest itself. Will you be running a sweepstakes or will you be running a contest? For us, going back to our original challenge of needing content acquisition, we choose contest half the time. Then you can choose your entry mechanism. Do you use, do you want photo assets? Do you want video assets, uploads, things like that? That will determine which venue you'll actually use, which is your next step. So thinking about Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare, Instagram, which ones are you going to use? And for my personal experience, I don't recommend combining more than 2 social media sites at a time for contests because your risk goes up and the barrier to enter also increases. And it's really just too much risk to manage. And then some other things that you might want to think about are third-party applications that you want to use. Are there partners that you can work with to manage and facilitate that environment within Facebook or within Pinterest? And you need to identify that up front because that's going to play into your budget. And then lastly in here, you can take a look at any national and local partners. Those are the best things because not only do they expand your reach, but they also help out with the financial burden. So for example, tonight we're running a Twitter chat with Penske, which was huge for us. And it allows us to do some partnership marketing and take away some of those costs. The third step is concepting. This is my most favorite step because this is where your creative juices really come in. This is where you're coming up with your titles, your themes. You're coming up with a unique hashtag for the contest. And I say unique because it's really important that you identify a hashtag that's not currently in use so that you can use that to track all of the content, the assets that are coming in. You also can take a look at your visuals. You really need to proactively plan out what are the graphic elements that you're going to need. So with our graphic designer, we literally spec out every single dimension for all the social media platforms that we need the main contest graphic to be resized at. That goes down into email, your mobile marketing. All of that needs to be laid out so that your graphic designer doesn't have this pleasant surprise the week before you launch. We've been there. Sorry, I know it's trying to catch up here. Can we get in? Oh, there we go. All right. The fourth one is plan promotion. This is the part where you really need to take a look at call to actions. What are your CTAs? What are your landing pages? And if you have landing pages and you need them to be built, you need to know that very up front in your planning because you're going to need to go to engineering or you're possibly going to have to get some other folks involved for that. And then also you need to take a look at lead capture forms. Those are really important, too, to think about the questions that you're going to ask. And what that does is it really helps actually captivate all of your leads, and that's where your traffic's coming in. So this stage is really, really important as well. And then the fifth one is awesomeness. There's 2 things of awesomeness that I like, and then there's some that I don't like. There's 2 things in here, which is legal and prizes. Legal is really important. How many of you guys stress about putting legal together for contests? It's stressful. So I highly recommend that you can work with third-party sources on that with legal counsel. But one of the core things that you really need to take a look at is actually evaluating the terms of use for each of the social platforms. And I mean like monthly. What happened to us a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we launched a Pinterest contest. 1 week before launch, Pinterest changed the rules for all of us brands in the room. So we had to go quickly, be super nimble, change all of our legal, change all of our creative, all of our advanced tweets, everything, you name it, we had to retouch. But if it weren't for us constantly looking at what these terms of use are, we would have been breaching their terms of use come launch. Another thing you need to look at is actually including a clause inside of your legal that states that you own the rights to the content. Because if your challenge is content acquisition and you get all this great content, you need to write the rules so that you then can own that content, co-own it, and repurpose it for future use. Then when it comes to the prize aspect, I mean, let's be honest, everyone loves cash, right? Cash is awesome, but one of the things that I'm starting to challenge my team with is thinking outside of the box for our prizes. We've had a tendency to really always do cash offerings, but now I recommend doing something that's similar to your brand and service offerings or offering some sort of element of surprise. And that's exactly what we did with our recent Pinterest contest. So we did a Decor by Me where we asked users to submit a board of their dream their dream room for a chance to win cash. But what we didn't tell users is that we randomly selected fans at the end. We went through their Pinterest boards, which were amazing, and we randomly selected one item from it, and we drop shipped it to their home with a thank you note. It was really cool. I mean, we're talking about some nice things that they had put in their dream room. So that was a really cool element that was unexpected, and it really helped kind of keep the momentum going. And we had some really nice results of that contest, and I was actually pleasantly surprised considering that we retweaked the entire element right before the contest went live because of the way Pinterest changed their rules for marketers. But we had 98 boards created, which is really tough. If you know how Pinterest just recently changed their rules, you can't encourage people to necessarily go to your website and pin content anymore. So we had to find some creative ways around that. So we had 98 boards and 734 repins. But we saw some tremendous lift in traffic to our blog, 65% visits, 66% page views and uniques and so forth. So the data was pretty good for us in this situation. It was a win-win for both, right? So the entrants had a win because they won cash. They also got to inspire one another by building out their dream room. They also had the element of surprise where we actually purchased an item and drop shipped it to their house. And then the win for us was that we were actually able to have all this curated content at our disposal to better understand home decor trends that we could then start writing about. So now we have all of those boards to go back to and be inspired by it. So the work was essentially done for us, which is great when you have a small team, right? So it's important. Give them something they're really going to cherish, something they'll genuinely want to talk about for weeks, something that they'll share, and something that will be awesome. And that's what ended up happening when we added in that element of surprise, which was the first time we've done that. So we had a blast, as you can imagine. Look at this gorgeous room that we had so much fun at the office, literally going through these people's Pinterest boards, and we pretty much bought the things that we would want in our home, right? We're like, ooh, that looks nice. So that was a blast going through that, and we learned a lot about the users and kind of what their likes and dislikes were. But one of the great things, when we drop shipped that item to the girl's house, Sherry, she sent us a really nice note back, and she said, thanks for reaching out to me. I already had a smile on my face when I entered the contest, but this just makes things sweeter. I had a lot of fun creating my board. That's really cool for us because, remember, we're an internet listing service site. We're not like a really fun product and brand, so this for us was a really cool win for us. So that's before. Now we move into during contest. This is another important phase because this is game day, right? So one of the first things that you need to do is seed out content. One of the things that we do is activate our employees. We have a really large staff of employees from a sales perspective. So we go after everyone in the country, we let them know what the contest is, and we encourage them to participate as well for another internal-only prize, which is either time off or maybe it's cash, gift cards, and so forth. The other thing that you can use them for is actually promoting your contest, pushing it out to their network, which is really important because they have expansive networks as well. And then come game day, it's promote, promote, promote. It's all about promotion. You do so much prep work that sometimes we're so tired come game day, it's really hard to just keep forgetting to push everything out because you're so exhausted from the prep work, right? So that's offline, online media. It's everything from press to email marketing and so forth. You really need to have that part planned out so that come game day, you're simply just pushing. And then the seventh item is manage. This is really important. Once you get the entrants coming in, you need to engage with them. It's important to not just set it and forget it and have them submit and only come back when they announce the winner. It's really important to, as they're engaging inside of the platform that you're using, continue that conversation and that dialogue. But you also really need to be careful for contest trolls. These are the people, we call them contest stalkers. There are a lot of them. How many of you have dealt with this running your contests? Yes, those are always fun. And it's important at this stage, you really need to have a risk mitigation plan put into place and setting those safety rails. And I encourage you to respond to all of these people. You can't not respond to them because some of them are really crazy. And they're just going to continue that conversation. So it's really important to have some risk management put into place. And then when we get to the after contest phase, this is also important. A lot of us, we get so tired, we're so excited about the contest came to an end, we put it in the vault, and we move on to the next project. But I'm going to give you guys some tips on how you can force yourselves not to do that. But the biggest thing here is you crown your winner. This is when you actually announce it to the public on your Facebook page, your social media outlets, as well as a blog post. But take that a next step further. Go ahead and do a press release. Maybe get some media involved. For example, we did a video contest one year, and we gave away $10,000 cash, which was huge for us. It was our very first contest ever, and I think we went way too big. And what we did is we actually had our president, who's a very busy man, come down and hand-deliver an oversized check to the person that won, and we got the Dallas media involved. So we kept the momentum going so that after the contest closed, we still had some legs to work with. The other thing that you need to do in this stage is thinking about, how are you going to repurpose this content? Again, a lot of us put it in the vault and we're done with it. So it's important for you to have an actual plan of how you're going to repurpose this content for future use. And that's the number one mistake that a lot of us make because we're so busy. So how can you really sit down with the team and go over what that plan is going to be like? And then one of the things that we did, we needed more content in the summer. So we developed an internal-only Instagram challenge for our employees. We do this all the time. We needed summer content, so we engaged with them for a 30-day challenge. And we strategically put the items on the list for the content that we knew we needed. So again, it's the power of the crowd of our own people. We had over 1,000 photos submitted, which is a lot considering these people are busy. They're out selling something. And the prize value was very, very minimal. It was only $200. So we got a lot out of that. And we're still continuing to repurpose this content today. So you see all the beautiful photos that we got. We're using this for our Facebook media buys. We're using this for print material, all of our social media stuff, and our blogging. And it's so successful that we're actually running another one right now. So it's the second version of it. And our employees love it. It gives them a break from the day. And it's also that daily commitment for doing social media. And now that our company's starting to sell social media stuff, it's that great reminder of, oh, hey, I'm actually practicing now what I'm doing. So again, it's the contests, they are the gift that keeps on giving. We're continuing to repurpose this content even a year later. And what we're doing now is we're taking a look at our Facebook media buy ads, and we realized that stock photography in Facebook was not doing well for us, and in Twitter. They just weren't performing, and we were spending a boatload in trying to buy these beautiful photos when we realized, hey, we already have all these photos. So that's a crab photo that I took in one of the contests one time, and we put it into Facebook, and it outperformed every ad we've ever done. So the light went off, hey, all of our media buy ads moving forward have to be a crowdsourced ad. So that's another way that you can repurpose your content. And then the last step is measurement. This is where it's really important to measure the things that matter. You know, we get caught up in the likes and the retweets and things like that, but really dig into your analytics and continue to dig in year after year, because that's going to help you sell up to the C-suite. One of the things that we do after each contest, I make my team produce a contest recap. It's literally in a memo format, and it has all of the metrics, lessons learned, so that we have everything documented, highlighting assets and so forth. And one of the Pinterest contests that we did in 2011, we were the first ones in real estate to do it, so we were really proud about it being kind of at the forefront of that. And we had a ton of pins and repins and entrants and increase in traffic to our website. But we wanted to take that to the next level and highlight that success, so we built a white paper. We took that white paper, we put challenges in it, lessons learned, how to be successful in Pinterest, and we gave them real-life advice. And then we pitched that white paper to industry media within real estate. And then we pitched it to outside media. And we got some great coverage. We got picked up by Huffington Post, Social Media Examiner, Reagan PR Daily, and interviews with Reagan.com. So this was a really great opportunity for us to keep the momentum going. And then it led into industry attention, where we were nominated for Best Pinterest Campaign for PR News' Social Media Icon Awards. So that was a really good win for us. Again, we're a small brand with a big name, so being able to carry the momentum throughout the contest was a win for us. So these are the 9 winning methods. Again, you can find a blog post on this that we've written that has more information on that. But at the end of the day, it takes a lot of preparation to have a successful contest. I'm talking 2 to 3 months worth if you really want to get the most bang for your buck. So taking a look at a strategy like this would be good. And also remember that your contest has to be a win-win proposition. It needs to be, there needs to be WIFM in it for the consumer and the customer, but then you also have to have something in return as well. And I need you guys to remember that your fans and your employees, they become your brainstorming group. They become your focus group. They're also your marketing department. Literally, we've reached out to hundreds of our sales folks and asked them to contribute content, especially digital photo content, right? So that they can be an extension to our marketing department. They become your sales force. They become your brand ambassadors. And remember, your employees and your fans, they also become your very best storytellers. And then most importantly, they become your content curators as well as your content creators. So remember the fans and the power of the crowd. And for us, going back to our original challenge of solving the content acquisition problem, we found the solution. We just needed to change our mindset of running contests differently and have a stronger purpose behind it. And now contest equals content for us. And we had, at the end of the day of all this, we've had nearly 7,000 photos, 200 videos, 900 Pinterest boards, and thousands of new content contributors, which is huge for a small brand with small pockets, small resources. We don't have like this huge team and outsourcing all these things. So this would have taken us years to do or a lot of dollars to do if you start looking at the value. So remember, for us and for you guys, it's the power of the crowd. It's the power of the people, the power of your employees, and then the power of contests. Thank you.